Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir, I am grateful to the honorable members, beginning with the leader of the opposition and ending with the leader of the House who have participated in this important debate. What provoked this debate was an article in a magazine followed by an article in a newspaper. From that, the leader of the opposition and some other members have abstracted an issue and have raised this debate. I welcome the debate. In fact, my desire is that the debate should have been kept at that abstract level on the issues involved rather than get bogged down into the facts relating to a particular case or a particular person or a particular occasion. It is because I think what is involved here is a grave principle that can well demolish many pillars of our democracy if we do not collectively address it with the seriousness with which it should be addressed. Sir, Article 21 of the Constitution, in my view, is the bedrock on which the democratic structure of India has been erected. It is to secure the life and personal liberty of every citizen, for which Mahatma Gandhi and other freedom fighters led this country in the great struggle against British colonialism. Let us remember there are many other countries which acquired freedom or achieved freedom without the guarantee of Article 21. India is among the few countries which enshrine Article 21 as a fundamental right to every citizen. Over the years, this article has been given contempt. In fact, the law that was declared then was that liberty can be deprived as long as it is a procedure established by law. But today, that procedure must be reasonable procedure. Article 21 has been expanded by a series of judgments reflecting the aspirations of the people. One among them was the right to privacy. Many other rights have been now discovered in the words that are contained in Article 21. The clean environment is part of Article 21. The right to food that we are debating in a part of is a part of Article 21. The right to information is a part of Article 21. The right to clean drinking water is a part of Article 21, and the right to sanitation is also part of Article 21. The right to privacy is an important right, as I think one of the honorable members said it is a right to be left alone. The state should not interfere in the lives of its citizens unless it is absolutely necessary. So, although the Indian Telegraph Act 1885 is an old act, I don't think if we need to rubbish this act because it is of 1885 vintage. The Indian Penal Code is older than this act, but we don't rubbish the Indian Penal Code. The Indian Evidence Act is older than this act. We don't rubbish the Indian Evidence Act. We read it contemporary values, contemporary needs, contemporary norms, and that is how we breathe life into our old act. Now the Supreme Court, in the one of its judgments to which the leader of the opposition set out the principles that should be observed before a government invokes the power to intercept telephone conversations, what are otherwise termed as private conversation. Let me make it very clear, the government totally supports and underscores the principles laid down in section 5.2, and it will be our endeavor to ensure that the procedural safeguards suggested by the Supreme Court and which we have incorporated in rules made in 2007 are further strengthened. In fact, it will be our endeavor to add to the rules already made under section 7 in order to strengthen the safeguards embodied in section 5 subsection 2. So rules were made in 2007 under section 7. If those rules are inadequate and have not kept pace with the changing technology, we will amend those rules. We will add to those rules. We will bring in more procedural safeguards to take care of advanced technology. Let there be no doubt in anyone's mind that this government is committed to the right to privacy and the right to liberty. Having said that, let us not understate the grave threats that this country faces. We have the threat of terrorism, cross-border terrorism. We have cyber crimes. Our adversaries are, or those who don't have the interest of this country at heart, are equally adept in employing technology. If they are adept in employing technology, the state should be equally adept in mastering the technology in order to be able to counter it. Intelligence gathering is an important part of any government's functioning. No government can function without gathering intelligence. There are many kinds of intelligence, one of which is well known, and that is the human intelligence. Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir, issues raised during the discussion on the working of Ministry of Law and Justice have given me some good feedback, and certainly I hope that it will strengthen me in carrying out the functions of my ministerial work. As many as 19 members have participated in this discussion, the issues were discussed at length. I thank all the members for their valuable suggestions, and certainly I would like to assure the members who participated in the discussions that their views would be taken into consideration whenever a situation comes up in that direction. Certainly, we will take up the issue while considering the suggestions given by the members who participated in the deliberations. Before I go into the details for replying to the queries and suggestions given by the honorable members, I would like to place on record the working of the Ministry of Law and Justice after this new government has taken over charge. Sir, the Ministry of Law and Justice has three departments, namely Department of Legal Affairs, the Legislative Department, and Department of Justice. The Department of Legal Affairs mainly handles the work of providing legal opinion and legal advice to various departments. Stop.